That's brand new music from the one and only Killing Joke. From their brand new album, Absolute Descent. It's the first in 28 years featuring the original lineup of the band, of course, Killing Joke being a legendary punk, electronic, hardcore band. Thanks to my man Truck Sack on Twitter for turning me on to that new album, and they're going to be coming to Portland in December, and who knows, maybe we can talk to them. But their new album, Absolute Descent, as if that doesn't tell you something, also features tracks called Here Comes the Singularity, Endgame, The Great Cull, and again, we just heard European Superstate. So much media out there exposing what's really going on, and we try and cover those artists that either consciously or subconsciously are tapped into the zeitgeist and the shifting paradigms that we see, and that's what we track here. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, new and returning listeners to Media Monarchy. My name's James Evan Pilato. I'm your host and webmaster of the site and show, MediaMonarchy.com. Your source for alternative news, politics, conspiracies, and cover-ups, broadcasting as always, live every Friday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific Time from the Portland Radio Authority, PRAradio.org. And again, a huge thanks to those outlets that carry Media Monarchy, especially those that carry it live, like ZeroPointRadio.com, blasting it worldwide, as well in Casper, Wyoming on 92.3 FM and 1670 AM, which is now blasting even further, some 25-mile radius now. Again, hello to Casper, Wyoming, from the People's Republic of Oregon. The worldwide home of free speech, RevereRadio.net, also carrying the show live. It's 1 p.m. on the East Coast. And again, thanks to those alternative outlets that rebroadcast the show, like Free Radio Olympia, FROlympia.org at 98.5, 104.1 FM in Berkeley, California, BerkeleyLiberationRadio.net, 90.7 FM in Kasilof, Alaska on KWMD, thanks to OneSkyRadio.com. Patriot Radio in La Mesa, Texas on 89.9 FM, and of course, thanks to Radio23.org for making the high-quality 192 kilobit episodes of Media Monarchy available for you. If you possess some type of alternative community media outlet, you don't have to ask. It's all public domain. It's all open source. This is all about just spreading the information. So if you're going to replay the show, get the good version. And we're on all the sites, Facebook, MySpace, Twitter, YouTube, Ustream, where we are, as we speak, streaming live video worldwide. And we make recordings and snippets of this broadcast and put them up on youtube.com/Media Monarchy. Again, just a way to build out the redundancy. We also have videos on blip.tv, along with newworldnextweek.com. You can get a Media Monarchy t-shirt on cafepress.com/Media Monarchy. Please send your criticisms and witticisms and news tips to me, MediaMonarchy@gmail.com. It is majorly appreciated. And that's, again, how we keep learning and sharing information and making better decisions by becoming more informed and turning raw data mining info into bits of knowledge. Skype, Instant Messenger, iTunes, RadioForAll.net, Archive.org. All those ways you can get and share and subscribe to the show. As again, we always try and mention feeds.feedburner.com/Media Monarchy. That's the main feed. Put that into your reader. Put that in directly into iTunes and you won't miss a thing. You'll get all the audio and all the video, as opposed to RadioForAll.net just has the audio. So whatever you need, whatever your desires, however your devices connect, we try and hit all those avenues to make it as easy as possible, again, for folks to get into the show. And I think the show's fairly accessible. I basically took my radio programming know-how of what it was from being a college radio, community radio program director for many years back east. The events of 9/11 and the surrounding crumbling cover-up and my own amateur investigations and all of those things have led me to this. And it's October 8th, 2010. This is episode 189 from Media Monarchy. We do have an interview coming up next week that I want to mention with Barbara Peterson of FarmWars.info, who is also based in the People's Republic of Oregon. We're going to be talking about the food world order. All that and so much more still to come. Let's glance at the news. Bank of America halts all foreclosure sales. B of A, Be Very of A, is halting foreclosure sales in all 50 states as part of a widening investigation into flaws in the process. Oh, there were some flaws. Chinese dissident wins Nobel Peace Prize, and the nation of China goes wild. Jim Jones, not the same one that was involved in the massacre of 900 plus members of the People's Temple, but the retired Marine general who's stepping down as Obama's national security advisor, as many of the rats are abandoning the ship. They get in, they do their thing, they get their credit, they go back to their private sector gig so that they can win contracts, and that's how the revolving door works. We also want to mention, of course, the donate button that you can see on the top right of MediaMonarchy.com. Your support helps keep Media Monarchy going. I do this all by myself, essentially. All the posting, all the tweeting and HTML work and the videos and all those things are pretty much a one-man band. So your donation help keeps it going, and paying the rent at PRA and paying the P.O. box and doing the domain names and all those other little things that slowly add up. Ultimately, try and do this as cheaply and freely as possible, using and abusing all those sources that you can out there, YouTube and archive and all those things, and using it to the best and most of our ability while we can, as the cyberspace war heats up and they all agitate for some sort of I-9/11 event. A punch in the Facebook, if you will. It's got to be something to make people freak out and make us beg for an Patriot Act to take away our ability to do what we try and do here, is, again, just use the open source intelligence, the public domain, raw data that's out there, and put it up and try and put it in a little bit of context. Again, I ain't the smartest guy in the world. I just pay attention a lot. And hopefully on MediaMonarchy.com you can find things laid out in a way that helps you go do more research. And again, MediaMonarchy@gmail.com. Please get in touch with me. Unless you are hiding under a rock, as increasingly looks like a better and better idea, you would know that the paranoia strikes deep, my friends. Paranoia grows over latest international threataganda, nations issuing warnings over a supposed European terror plot, and we have so much to go through just relating to this. And then all the other geopolitical, police state, war horror updates that surround this. So we'll start with ABC News. And they have since updated this story, but we send you back to the original link coming from nationalterroralert.com, which is one of those great sites. And of course, they have a Facebook page and a Twitter page and all those things, buying every bit of phony propaganda in the war of terror. Al-Qaeda is going to get us. Al-Qaeda. It's great to make comments on their Facebook page, and they haven't banned me yet. Of course, not being abusive. Just pointing out uncomfortable truths. So get a load of this. This is the way they're writing this. Strong concerns that terrorist teams in Europe have selected their targets, completed their surveillance, eluded capture, and are now ready to strike at airports and tourist attractions has prompted the State Department to ready a highly unusual travel advisory for Europe, multiple law enforcement and intelligence sources tell ABC News. Intelligence and law enforcement officials have information that the teams could at any time launch a Mumbai-style attack, a terror attack, targeting civilians for death or hostage-taking. The 2008 Mumbai attack used small arms and explosives to kill 175 people and paralyze the Indian city for days. The current concerns are for scenarios that include opening fire at airports in Europe, as well as executing similar attacks at soft targets like tourist attractions or hotels. The current concerns are for scenarios that include opening fire at airports in Europe as well as executing similar attacks at soft targets. So again, according to ABC News sources, the terror plotters have moved through the surveillance stage, checked back in with al-Qaeda in Pakistan, and have received the go-ahead to strike. Officials said earlier that Osama bin Laden had approved or blessed the attack plan. The suspects reportedly include British and German citizens who may be of Pakistani or Afghan ethnicity. So within this story, we have links to, again, nationalterroralert.com, the BBC, where as this spooled out over this past week, we saw Japan and Sweden issuing similar warnings. We have a flashback link to November of 2008, the coordinated carnage in Mumbai, and connected to all that are the Media Monarchy updates of course, all the suspicious false flag, red flags that pop up in any kind of massive terror event such as the Mumbai massacre, not to mention the least of which the involvement of David Headley, intelligence-connected asset, Patsy. And Osama bin Laden himself has approved this attack. And if that doesn't scare you, oh gosh, I don't know what will. And I forgot to mention last week, it did happen early last Friday, but just in the swirl of trying to put together last week's episode, I totally forgot to mention that Osama actually, he has a new single out. You know, much in the way that Tupac can put out music long after he's died. Osama put out a new single. We'll cover that later. Paranoia grows over latest international threat-aganda. So we have several clips that help put this all together as we go through this paranoia story. So tied in with the terror hysteria, we have the U.S. planning and executing, as we speak, Operation Railsafe, a law enforcement surge on trains this weekend in the USSA, and France arrested 12 as concerns about homegrown terrorism rise. It's not just here, everywhere. It's homegrown terrorism or homegrown errorism, as we've coined it. So let's get the mainstream media take, and I'm sure you're just as skilled and able to dissect these mainstream media pieces as we go through them that I think are important, because you can hear exactly the talking points, and you can pick it apart as we listen to it. Paranoia grows over latest international threat-aganda.
The travel alert being issued by the U.S. State Department, it is cautioning Americans traveling to Europe to be vigilant about possible terrorist attacks there. We have reports from London and from Washington, D.C., but we'll begin our coverage with Pierre Thomas in Washington. Pierre, what led to the travel alert being issued at this time, or about to be issued, we believe?
Ron, there's a lot of intelligence coming in from around the world suggesting that al-Qaeda is planning to hit Europe. There's a key bit of intelligence from a suspected German radical who was recently captured. He has apparently indicated that al-Qaeda is targeting locations in Germany, France, and Great Britain. The problem with all this intelligence is it's not specific in terms of time or place, but authorities believe al-Qaeda wants to target soft targets, hotels, malls, tourist locations, anywhere there are large concentrations of people. And the reason why so many people are concerned about Europe is the belief that al-Qaeda desperately wants to get on the scoreboard, even with a smaller scale attack, Ron.